Hi, Nesha is here, and this time I will share some tips how to get off-color sockets. If you look on this evasion-based body armor, you can see that it requires 134 decks, meaning if you use chromatic orbs and try to reforge the color of the sockets, you will most likely get green sockets. If you look on boots, they have 82 strength requirement, meaning you will most likely get red sockets. And if you look on gloves, you can see that they requires 95 int, and you will most likely get blue sockets. The most important thing about attribute requirement is the higher this attribute requirement is, you will have less and less chance to get off-color sockets. Also, if you look on these hybrid boots, you can see that they have requirement, they requires 56 strength and 56 dex, meaning that you will most likely get green and red sockets. Also interesting is this body armor sacrificial garb. You can see that it has equal requirement of 66 strength, 66 dex and 66 int, meaning there is probably around the same chance to get any of these three colors. Also interesting are these gloves. They are energy shield based gloves, but because there is no requirement on them, even they are energy shield based, and when you use chromatics orb on these gloves, you will get lots of off-color sockets. Now, if you look on my boots, you can see that they are armor evasion based with 56 strength and 56 dex, and because of that I was able easily to craft 4 red sockets using just chromatic orbs. Now I got new boots. They are evasion based with 120 dex, meaning most likely we'll get green sockets on these boots. And as you see, I need 4 red sockets for my boots. There is 2 ways to get these off-color sockets on my boots. First way is to use crafting at least 3 red sockets. It costs 120 chromatic orbs, which is around 10 chaos, and with this crafting you will get 3 red sockets, and the last one will be random, but with most likely will be green. Because of that, most probably you will need to repeat this crafting many times until you actually get that last 4th red socket. And each time you craft, you will need to spend 120 chromatic orbs. There is much cheaper way to do it, using jeweler orbs. You need to craft for start 2 sockets on these boots. It costs just 1 jewel orb. Now you need to craft at least 2 red sockets and make those 2 sockets red. And this is the starting point for our crafting. From this one we go and craft 3 sockets. Crafting is still cheap, only 3 jewel orbs. And If we don't get third red socket, we go back, craft again 2 socket, we go back to our 2 red sockets, and now we try again with 3 socket. And we repeat this process until we get 3 red sockets on our boots. The good part about this is that it's still not expensive. And as you see, we got I got three red sockets on my boots. The next step is little more expensive. I need to craft 4 sockets. It costs 10 jewel orbs, and it is this similar crafting as at least 3 red sockets, in a way that last 4 sockets will be random, and there is most likely to be green, but there is small chance to get our needed 4th red socket. The main difference with this crafting and the chromatic crafting is that at this point we spend for each try 10 jewel orbs, which is around 1 chaos, and for at least 3 red sockets cost is 120 chromatic, which is around 10 chaos, and it's 10 times more expensive way of crafting. So let's start with our 4 sockets crafting. As usual, we will get that green socket on these boots, but now we just go back to 3 red and try again with 4 sockets. Still nothing, go back, and as you see, we get our 4 red sockets and 4 off-color sockets on these boots. Now, if we need to craft 6 off-color sockets, let's say on this armor, and we need to get 6 red sockets, 6 off-color, we would repeat the same process as we did for the boots. So we would first craft 2 sockets, then craft at least 2 red sockets, make those 2 red, then repeat process we did for the boots until we get 4 red sockets. At that point we need to craft 5 sockets. It costs 70 jewel orbs. As you see, price is going up, and in case we don't get in right away 5 red sockets, we need to go back and craft 4 and repeat crafting 5 sockets until we eventually get all 5 red sockets. After that, you need to craft 6 sockets, which cost 350 jewel orbs, and depending on your luck, you may need many tries to get all 6 off-color sockets. As you see, this 6 off-color socket crafting can be really expensive, but there is one thing you can do and save some currency. If you look on this Astra plate body armor, you can see that there is 180 strength requirement, and because of this high attribute requirement, there is really small chance for off-color sockets. And if you start right away with 2 sockets, 3 sockets, 4 sockets crafting, you would probably need to spend huge amount of jewel orbs. To make this less painful, you can first try to get on this armor suffix 32% reduced attribute requirements using alteration orbs. After around 100 alteration orbs, I got 32% reduced attribute requirements, and if you look now, it requires only, you can say only, 122 strength, and before this 32% reduced, it was 180 strength. And now, when you start with off-color crafting, it should save you some nice amount of jewel orbs. For the end, here is the bonus tip. If you place Vorici into the research safe house, you can get syndicate crafting bench with modify an item to have 1 to 3 white sockets, and if you use this bench on your body armor and you get 3 white sockets, it can be really helpful. And with this crafting bench, you will not corrupt your armor or weapon, but if you use chromatics after that, you will re-roll those white sockets. This will be all for now. Leave a like, subscribe, and see you next time.